For more than 4,000 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood in silence. Yet it continues to challenge everything modern humans believe about ancient engineering. Each stone block weighs several tons, heavier than modern vehicles. Yet more than 2 million of these stones were placed with astonishing precision, using no iron tools, no engines, and no modern machines. The pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy modern buildings still struggle to achieve. For generations, people were told this monument was built by slaves dragging stones through the desert. But archaeology reveals a completely different reality. There were no slave camps, no mass graves, and no signs of chaos. Instead, evidence shows organized workers, medical care, advanced planning, and an engineering system so refined that even today, recreating it exactly would be nearly impossible. This is not a story of myths or fantasies. This is the real, evidence-based story of how the pyramids were truly built. The Great Pyramid of Giza was constructed around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. At a time when ancient Egypt had no steel, no electricity, no modern cranes, and no written blueprints as we understand them today. Yet the structure rose to a height of 146.6 meters and contained approximately 2.3 million limestone blocks arranged with mathematical accuracy that leaves a margin of error of less than 0.05%, proving that its builders were not primitive laborers, but highly skilled engineers. Surveyors, planners, and craftsmen working under a centralized and disciplined system. One of the biggest misconceptions surrounding the pyramids is the belief that they were built by slaves, an idea largely spread by Greek historians who lived thousands of years after the pyramids were completed. But modern archaeological discoveries near Giza have uncovered permanent worker villages, bakeries, breweries, organized housing, and cemeteries where laborers were buried with honor, showing that these workers were respected, well-fed professionals who received medical treatment, as evidenced by healed fractures and surgical procedures found on skeletal remains. The stones used in the pyramids came from different sources. Local limestone quarried directly from the Giza Plateau formed the pyramid-esque core fine white. Tura limestone transported from across the Nile created this smooth outer casing, and massive granite blocks weighing up to 80 tons were shipped from Aswan, over 800 kilometers away, demonstrating a level of logistical planning that required boats, docks, schedules, and precise coordination along the Nile River. Without iron tools, Egyptian workers shaped stone using copper chisels, dolerite pounding stones, and sand abrasion techniques, slowly carving blocks with incredible precision rather than speed, proving that patience and skill replaced brute force. Moving these multi-ton stones did not involve wheels, which were ineffective on sand, but wooden sleds pulled by teams of workers using thick ropes, with water poured on the sand ahead of the sleds to reduce friction, a technique confirmed by modern physics experiments to significantly ease movement. Lifting the stones upward has long been misunderstood, but evidence suggests that Egyptians used a combination of straight ramps for lower-level zigzagging side ramps as the pyramid rose higher, and possibly internal spiral ramps built within the structure itself. A theory supported by modern scanning technology that detected internal anomalies consistent with hidden passageways. The placement of each block followed precise measurements aligned with the stars using tools such as the Merkhet plumb lines and shadow tracking to align the pyramid perfectly with the cardinal directions, showing that Egyptian surveyors relied on astronomy rather than guesswork. To complete the pyramid in approximately 20 years, Egypt organized tens of thousands of workers into rotating shifts, supplied them with massive quantities of food and tools, maintained strict schedules, and managed daily stone quotas, creating what can only be described as an industrial-scale construction operation in the ancient world. The reason this level of pyramid construction was never repeated lies not in lost knowledge but in changing religious beliefs, political priorities, and architectural preferences, as later rulers chose rock-cut tombs and temples instead of massive pyramids. The Great Pyramid stands today not as a mystery beyond understanding, but as proof that ancient humans, when organized, motivated, and guided by knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, were capable of achieving feats that continue to impress and humble the modern world. Beyond the massive stone blocks and towering shape of the pyramid lies something even more astonishing: the inside. Hidden corridors, sealed chambers, narrow shafts, and perfectly balanced spaces were designed with such precision that even a single miscalculation could have collapsed the entire structure. For centuries, explorers believed the pyramid was solid stone, but modern scans reveal empty spaces, pressure relief systems, and internal designs that show advanced understanding of physics and weight distribution. The inside of the Great Pyramid is not chaotic or accidental. It is calculated, intentional, and engineered with a level of planning that suggests the builders knew exactly how stone behaves under extreme pressure. To understand how the pyramids were truly built, we must step inside them. The interior of the Great Pyramid of Giza reveals an entirely new layer of ancient Egyptian engineering skill, beginning with the descending passage, a narrow tunnel cut directly into bedrock that leads deep beneath the pyramid, showing that construction planning began even before the first stone was placed on top, followed by the ascending passage, an upward corridor angled with remarkable precision that required careful load management to prevent collapse as millions of tons of stone pressed down upon it. One of the most impressive features is the Grand Gallery, a towering internal ramp-like corridor rising nearly 9 meters high, whose corbelled walls were designed to shift weight outward and upward, reducing pressure on the passage below, a technique still used in modern architecture. At the heart of the pyramid lies the king's chamber, constructed entirely of red granite blocks from Aswan, each weighing several tons assembled, with joints so tight that even a blade cannot pass between them, proving extreme accuracy in cutting and placement. Above this chamber are 5 relieving chambers, stacked vertically separated by massive granite beams, whose sole purpose was to redistribute the enormous weight of the pyramid away from the king's chamber ceiling, showing that Egyptian engineers fully understood the dangers of stone compression and deliberately planned solutions to counter it. The queen's chamber, often misunderstood as a burial site, appears to have had a symbolic or ritual purpose, aligned with specific angles and dimensions that reflect religious beliefs rather than practical burial use. Narrow shafts extend from both the king's and queen's chambers, once thought to be ventilation systems, but now believed to be symbolic channels aligned with specific stars such as Orion and Sirius, linking the pyramid to the ancient Egyptian belief in the afterlife and the journey of the pharaoh's soul to the heavens. Modern robotic explorations inside these shafts have discovered sealed stone doors, copper handles, and hidden voids, proving that parts of the pyramid were intentionally closed and concealed during construction, not added later. Advanced scanning technologies such as Moyon tomography have revealed large unknown voids above the Grand Gallery, confirming that the pyramid's interior is far more complex than originally believed, and that its internal design likely played a critical role in managing structural stress, rather than merely hiding chambers. These discoveries strongly support the theory that internal ramps may have existed during construction, allowing stones to be moved upward from within the pyramid itself, without leaving external ramp remains, explaining how such a clean outer shape was maintained. The precision of angles, lengths, and alignments inside the pyramid indicates that Egyptian builders used standardized measurement systems, like the royal cubit, along with repeated verification checks, to ensure consistency throughout the structure. Every corridor, chamber, and void served a purpose, whether structural, symbolic, or functional, reinforcing the conclusion that the pyramid was not built by trial and error but by a clear architectural vision executed step by step. The internal structure of the pyramid proves that its builders understood gravity, load distribution, balance, and long-term durability, transforming millions of stone blocks into a stable form that has survived earthquakes, erosion, and time itself, standing as undeniable evidence that ancient Egyptian engineering was not mysterious magic, but applied science guided by belief, discipline, and deep observation of the natural world. The final question surrounding the pyramids is not how they were built, but why no civilization ever repeated them at this scale again. For centuries, people searched for lost technologies or secret knowledge, yet the answer lies in something far more human. The Great Pyramid represents a moment in history when belief, power, science, and organization aligned perfectly. Later generations inherited the stones, but not the reason to build them. Understanding the true purpose of the pyramids reveals why these monuments remain unique, unmatched, and untouched by time. The purpose of the Great Pyramid of Giza goes far beyond the idea of a simple royal tomb, even though it unquestionably served as the burial monument for Pharaoh Khufu, because in ancient Egyptian belief, death was not an end, but a transformation, and the pyramid was designed as a monumental resurrection machine built to guide the pharaoh's soul toward immortality. The pyramid's shape symbolized the primordial mound rising from chaos at the creation of the world, while its sloping sides represented rays of sunlight along which the king's spirits could ascend to join the sun god Ra, making the structure both architectural and cosmological in nature. The internal chambers, star-lined shafts, and precise measurements were not decorative or accidental, but were deeply connected to religious texts such as the pyramid texts, which describe the king's journey to the heavens among the stars, the so-called imperishable ones that never set, symbolizing eternal life. Over time, Egyptian religious beliefs evolved, placing greater emphasis on Osiris and the underworld rather than solar ascension, leading to a shift in tomb design toward underground burial sites like the Valley of the Kings, which provided greater security and aligned more closely with changing theology. This change explains why the pyramid building era ended not due to lost knowledge or collapsed civilizations, but because the religious and political motivation that justified such massive resource expenditure no longer existed. Modern engineering analyses have shown that, while it would be technically possible to recreate the Great Pyramid today, doing so with the same materials, methods, and precision would require enormous costs, labor and time, making it economically irrational in the modern world, highlighting how ancient as centralized authority and religious unity enabled achievements beyond what individual ambition alone could accomplish. Studies conducted by architects and structural engineers consistently conclude that the Great Pyramid represents one of the most stable and efficient stone structures ever built, with its weight distribution, base alignment, and internal stress management exceeding many modern designs in long-term durability. Contrary to claims of lost supertechnology or non-human involvement, every aspect of the pyramid can be explained through archaeological evidence, experimental reconstructions, tool marks, and ancient records, revealing a story not of mystery beyond reach, but of human intelligence operating at its fullest potential under unique historical conditions. The true tragedy is not that we do not understand the pyramids, but that for centuries we underestimated the people who built them, labeling them primitive because they lacked modern machines, while ignoring their mastery of organization, observation, mathematics, and belief-driven motivation. The Great Pyramid remains standing because it was not built for speed or profit, but for eternity. And its continued presence is a reminder that when human societies align knowledge with purpose, they can create monuments that outlast empires, technologies, and even memory itself.